MYePEAK here. Today we're going to talk about how your brain talks to your body. Check it out. All right, cool. Here we go.
We have a prop today.
We have a prop. It's pretty cool.
Look, it lights up and it lights down.
Gonna give a shout out to a fellow chiropractor, Dan Sullivan. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Dan Sullivan, we were at a presentation, and he has created this bad boy.
A petable brain.
A petable brain,
Yes.
which is what we've all wanted.
Really creepy nightlight.
Exactly. If you're with my daughters, then they would be like, "Oh my God, don't do that."
So
Gross.
So you know my randomness.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this glowing. And,
Yeah. Turn it sideways so that everybody can
Oh yeah,
see.
because it's so much better there.
Yeah. Look at that.
The Mars Attacks. Remember the Mars Attacks movie?
Yes, where it was like a...
But they had the aliens were like, they were being nice and all the people were like talking to them, but the Mars Attacks aliens
Yes.
had
they
the brains
that brain
exposed.
sticking out of there.
So,
oh, man.
All right,
That's a good
so
one.
what is the brain? Why is
Yeah.
the brain important?
So the brain is kind of your master. It's kind of interesting because it's the master of all, but most misunderstood, I would say, in science, or not. We don't know everything.
Oh
right?
gosh, yeah. What do they say? But 7% or something like that of what it actually does, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the brain is awesome. The brain is essential.
Yeah.
The very first thing to develop after the sperm and egg come together. Apologize for the PG-13 talk.
Yeah.
What's the very first thing that develops? Embryology class.
Brain and nervous system, or the spine.
Rudimentary.
Rudimentary.
The notochord.
The notochord. Oh, you went that deep.
Well,
I like it.
Sorry. But yeah, it's a rudimentary brain and spinal cord, which is the rudimentary nervous system,
Right.
which tells you that's the first thing to develop. That's pretty freaking important. But we got the brain, we got the tail of the brain, then we have the nerves that branch out.
Right.
And that literally controls what?
The everything.
The everything.
That's right. So as you go, like
everything.
yeah, and it's really neat if you ever want to like Google an image of like the embryo going through, you'll see that develop, and it's really neat.
Cool.
It's like the images they have now that is just readily accessible.
Yep.
I remember back when I started chiropractic, you had to like. There was a Time magazine
From like 1968 or something.
And that was
like
the only way you could get that picture.
Yep.
Like
now it's so available.
You could just free
So
image
available.
it. It's amazing.
Which is absolutely incredible. So that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the brain today.
Yeah.
The brain is absolutely amazing, incredible. And when we talk about the brain, you probably heard something in elementary, middle school that said that the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. The left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. Is that true?
That is so correct. That's how it goes, and it's an interesting, masterful system that way. And it's actually in this model you don't see it as much, but it has these little brain fissures that actually separate a lot of that out. And the biggest one is the one between the right and the left side.
Yep.
So, and then you have all kinds of other pieces of the brain that kind of connect those two together.
Oh, it's incredible, the machine that's here. This model doesn't actually even show it, but where it crisscrosses is what's called the cerebellum, which is effectively about the size of your fist, and it's like a little brain.
Yeah.
But the primary jobs of cerebellum is balance and coordination. So to challenge our brain, balance and coordination is great, but we're going to talk more about that in another video as well.
Yeah, we'd like to show you and understand, because everybody kind of hears that you're left brain dominant or right brain dominant. We want to explain what that actually means to you and your health, because this is one of those things, being holistic. You have to, once you understand these things, it's kind of interesting.
Well, so in saying that, if you are left brain dominant, which, because 85% of us are right-handed, Jeromy and I fit that category.
Yes.
I guess we're in the majority.
Yeah.
We're a cool kid because we're 85%. We're popular.
I know.
But
don't tell my daughter, she's a lefty all the way. That's it.
But if you're right-handed, you're controlling the left side of your brain. What is predominantly, is this more creative or academic, the left side of the brain?
That's the neatest thing, is it's more your academic, which is kind of fascinating to see that the right side of your brain has your left side of your brain has a function like that that they've kind of figured out. So
and so if
really
this
cool.
is more academic, what is our right side of the brain going to be more dominant
That's
for?
more creative.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you don't use either side if you're right-handed.
Goodness,
no. Right?
And that's a great point too, because sometimes you'll go, well, it means I can never be creative. Right-handers are never creative. Well, no, of course not.
No.
It just means that you're using the creativity side more if you're a left-hander, and if you're a right-hander, you're using the academic side more. It doesn't mean you're a dummy if you're a left-hander, because his daughter is freaking smart. So it's not a matter of that whatsoever.
It's so brilliant. It's such a brilliant system that way that these are the maps that we currently know.
Yeah.
There could be a lot of crossover
Oh my
and
goodness,
all kinds
there's
of
so
stuff,
much more
right?
information, but we want to try and keep it as direct and simple as possible. But here's the part that's really, really interesting, and we're going to talk about in our next couple of videos here, is if the left side of the brain is talking to the right side of the body, when we use our dominant hand, we are stimulating just one side of the brain, and that is the left side of the brain. But what happens when we switch to the non-dominant hand? Do we just fire the opposite side?
That's correct. That's interesting. It starts to, right?
It starts to.
But it also can bring in the left side of the brain as well.
So what happens is when you use your non-dominant hand, you engage both sides of your brain. And that's incredible to think. So when we're using our dominant, we're just going to be focusing on the side that is connected to our dominant side, which is the side opposite. But if we use our non-dominant, we don't only fire that side, but we now fire both sides. So when using your non-dominant hand, it's probably one of the healthiest things you can do for your brain.
Right. Why do we care?
Ooh,
I mean, why is it healthy?
Care?
Why
do
is
we
it healthy?
care? There are really, really scary things like Alzheimer's out there, which are serious brain diseases.
Yeah.
But the general dementias, they're finding from more and more research that those are preventable by exercising the noodle.
Right. So here's just a thought process in this thing. So one of the things that we do as a society or everything is we sit down in front of a giant TV thing and it feeds us information. And so what happens is a lot of times you're not using your brain. It's a way to check out. Your brain gets checked out. And like in videos before, if you haven't seen the rest of our videos, our bodies are inherently lazy. So no matter where that is, it wants to use the least amount of energy possible. So putting on a TV show and just doing that all the time, that creates this laziness that can happen too. So that's why these things are so vital, so simple, but so vital. So,
and we're going to unpack that more because we're going to talk about in our next video, we're going to talk about brain exercises. And you got to exercise the brain because the brain's getting stupid and lazy with our society.
Right, exactly. So, all right, we'll check out our next video.